Welcome to Roaring Fork Wellness Weekly podcast, where we strive to bring you options and resources to live a healthy and fulfilling lifestyle in the Roaring Fork Valley and surrounding areas. I'm Kimberly Henrie. You can learn more about Roaring Fork Wellness at www.rfwellness.com. This episode of Roaring Fork Wellness Weekly is brought to you by Glenwood Moms for Moms, a social network for local moms providing connection, information, support, and inspiration. Join for free today and spread the word to all your mom friends from pregnancy to grandmotherhood. www.glenwoodmomsformoms.com. And now let's bring in our guest. I want to invite into the conversation Candice Yeager of Glenwood Springs. And Candice does a whole variety of different things. We're going to kind of key in on a few of those things and introduce you to Candice. Candice, thanks for being here.
Hi, so happy to be here today.
It's great to talk with you, and I know we've got a lot to talk about, but we're going to kind of focus in, and hopefully we'll bring you back on a few more times because you have such a rich experience in spiritual healing primarily.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
So spiritual healing is not what most people talk about when they're talking about wellness, but it can be a piece of that whole picture. How does it fit in with nutrition and holistic health? Why would somebody work with someone on the spiritual healing level?
Well, I would say a lot of people don't, like you said, they don't go there first. So if you've tried all kinds of different therapies, if you've tried nutritional therapies, you've tried, wellness and physical and even going to the medical doctors, if you've done everything and you're still not where you want to be, that's where I like to go into the different levels of the spiritual healing, because there's usually a spiritual or emotional block there that's creating that illness or imbalance.
Is that something that you could go to first if you're not sure what's going on?
Definitely. When I start feeling little pains in my body now or anything else, that's immediately where I go to, but that's what I do every day, so it's easy for me. But I like to train people how to kind of tune in, and then they're like, oh, that's not really mine, or this is what that's really about, and then the pain or tightness or whatever it is, it just dissipates. So it's pretty awesome.
I want to get into kind of the details of how that all works, but before we do that, what does it look like as far as working integratively with other types of therapies? Do you do that, or can you do the work and then you don't need the other types of therapies? What does that look like?
Well, I do play a huge part of nutrition in my kind of approach. So what I would do is I would feel intuitively if you had any allergies or if there was certain things that were in your diet, in your health, in your house. Maybe we can talk about space clearing too. But anyway, it all plays a part. I mean, just everything. It's total like kind of feng shui of your life. So definitely all kinds of different therapies are included, and it's kind of whatever you want too, catering it to how your life is balanced and wants to be balanced.
Okay, so you could work with someone you can work with them on different levels, but you could also work with them if they're also wanting to work with their nutritionist or their doctor in conjunction with what you're offering.
Definitely.
Okay.
I would recommend that.
Okay.
If you have somebody, I would just, I just kind of can add a different level or a different approach, or I just might be able to see things that other people aren't tapping into. So
you consider yourself intuitive or an empath, is that right? Is that how you?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What does that look like when somebody's coming to you? Can you kind of walk us through what your first interaction would be with a client?
Well, first of all, if they're coming to me, they're more open. So hopefully they're ready to kind of open their energy up to me. But it's so different. But I could feel, normally what happens is I start feeling where some energy might be blocked, and it comes to me as physical pain, usually. So it might be a tightness in the shoulder or in the ankle or anywhere like that. And then I kind of go deeper and find out what's going on. or sometimes I'll just get messages. Sometimes I'll see things. Sometimes I'll just feel things. Sometimes I just know things.
Wow. Okay.
It really depends on the situation and the person. And I always let spirit know what needs to be healed. So I'm not going to know like everything about you. I'm going to know what your guides and everything are wanting to really be healed and come forward.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be different levels of things going on, but yeah, I really just put it up to the universe and the Creator.
And so which is fascinating to me. I just imagine you like this human voodoo doll kind of situation.
Well, yeah, it's been a lot, because then it's trying to, I finally gotten to the place where all of this energy coming at me isn't so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so I've really turned it over to, helping others and not like just bogging myself down. Like even going to Walmart sometimes could be really intimidating and draining, but I'm getting to the point where I just love doing it. So
Sure. Wow. And now once you kind of get a sense of what's going on and what needs to be repaired, then what's the process for repairing it?
Normally I'll have people just kind of relax, and then I'll do like a little mini meditation with them. So I'll have them build their own spiritual fire, like in their mind's eye, and I'll start pulling up the emotions or pulling up the whatever it is, if it's grief, if it's loss, if it's anger, and then we'll just start putting it into the fire. Where I use a Niken magnet, and I like rolling that down people's backs, and I'll physically clear it and help them clear it. Sometimes it's counseling therapy too, so more talking back and forth and just kind of helping figure out things psychologically, emotionally. Sorry, I'm trying to get more detailed and specific, but it's just it's hard because it's so different every time.
So it sounds like you just draw on a whole wealth of different information and tools, depending on what's going on with a specific person.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And how did you get to this place? How did you become this person who can feel these things and then have the knowledge in the background to help?
Well, I think I came into this life with my own burdens and healing. So I've really done a lot of work on my own emotional needs and my inner child and my own path. And it's led me to all of these different tools. And it's really been an amazing journey. And now I'm just getting to the point that that's why I know that I'm here, and that's my gift to others, and it's my passion. And so it helps turn my life, which I could always go back to. It was dark and depressing and poor me. And now I'm like, oh, thank gosh for that, because without all of that, I wouldn't know what I know and be able to help others the way that I can. So
it's great when you can be grateful for some of that stuff.
Yeah. It's not easy, it's a journey for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. So I know you've got a lot of tools in your bucket, but you alluded to this earlier, space clearing. So does that mean like cleaning out closets, or what are you talking about there?
Definitely. It can definitely be cleaning closets.
Can you come do mine?
If you're holding on to some kind of dress, that you had an emotional connection to, that maybe you weren't so happy about that. And I mean, everything is energy.
Look at you turning that around to something useful.
Or like letters or old, just old stuff that has an emotional connection, because then it's going to cord. So then you have energetic cords, that can tie into your body. And so, yeah, it's really just kind of letting go of things. But yeah, I really like to energetically, if you're feeling when you wake up in the morning, you're all of a sudden groggy, or you're just in a bad mood for no reason, or you just, you can feel energy shift and you're just like, I'm not sure why that happened, then your space definitely needs to be cleared.
Okay.
Because people do a lot of work, even nutritionally, spiritually, emotionally, and then their house still has that same old vibration in it, and they keep on continually walking back into that vibration. So
you can tell when you walk into a space and it just doesn't feel right, or sometimes it feels really good. I mean, I notice that walking in, to different spaces that they carry different energy.
Yeah, or if you just got a divorce, or you just bought a new house and the people sold their house because they had a horrible divorce, that energy is still in those walls and that wood. And so it's just realizing that we're very powerful just with intention and maybe a few tools. We change the structure of that energy.
Okay.
And it's pretty powerful. And, when people are like, oh, I can't do that. I need to hire Candice to do that. No, I really want to teach people how to empower themselves. So even goes down to, just blessing your water. And everybody's kind of seeing the crystals in the water. And it's the same with space clearing.
So it's really a process of intending the energy to be different. Is that right?
It's all about intention. Your intention and your thoughts create your outer world. So
let's talk about that a little bit, just to give, get a little bit deeper into this particular subject, because I think everybody's heard of space clearing, and certainly people have probably heard about burning sage in a space to clear the space. I mean, that's pretty, out there. Some people might think it's a little crazy, but how do you choose the tool, and how is that tool working in that process?
Well, sage, if you kind of look at the sage and you're like, that's a little out there for me, you actually could use a bell or clap your hands, or even music. Just turning on your radio to an upbeat song that you love, and just all of a sudden you're just happy, put that intention in to clear your space.
Okay.
That can work. And I always if I put on that song, I would imagine a big, beautiful white tornado above my space, just kind of even just going all the way through the ground. And I use a lot of visualization, so people don't have to do that. For me, it works because then I know and I can see when it's clear. Or in my third eye, I can see where there might be a little block or dark spot or something. But you wouldn't have to do that. But it's a very simple way, even just to use a little tornado. Or you can just turn on new music and just say, I have the intention of this clearing out my space. Right.
So this intent, which is very cool, and I'm still trying to bring together the clutter that we have in our lives. And you talked about some of the stuff that we're attached to that maybe isn't serving us well, that carries, energy that's kind of pulling us down. But even just clutter, even if it's stuff that you're not attached to, how does that affect your life? And how is clearing that different than turning on your, an upbeat song in your room?
So, for an example, I was working with a friend of mine, and I kept on seeing kind of above her head that it was a little blocked and a little, well, then we were talking about her house, and I just saw this ring, and I saw it, and it was in her attic, and she was like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, because she's been divorced, it was just, it's kind of so a couple of months later, she called me and says, oh, well, you wouldn't believe it, but I found an old ring with an old wedding dress up in my attic. It was above, above her house. And so anyway, just kind of moving on from that stuff, it just helped her be able to move on and go forward. Let me see. I'm trying to think of other good examples. Or, just when you have a lot of clutter around, it almost sets in like kind of a, I don't know, I don't want to say depressing because that's not necessarily true, but maybe that you're holding on to something of the past, or you're afraid that you might not have enough for the future. And there can be so many different things. I mean, it could be a lot of, your mom's stuff. It could be which your mom passed away, or, I mean, there's so many different things, but it could be from childhood. I know that my mother personally collects a lot of things, and her childhood wasn't so great. She was really poor, and so she tends to, when she buys a chair, she'll buy 8 chairs, even though she doesn't need them. But to me, I can see that there's inner child work, that needs to be done. So I don't know. Again, I'm sorry. It's so just individual, and it's hard to put a cap on it for everybody. But
Sure. For myself,
I will say you will still. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say for myself, I see it kind of on 2 different levels, but talking with you, I'm seeing it kind of come together, like clearing the space of energy that's, not working for me is great, but clearing the piles off my desk or off my dresser, or making sure that, the floor is swept and everything's dusted, that also lifts the energy in the room for me. Even though it's, I'm not attached to the dust per se, it's when it's there, it creates, a negative space.
Still maybe a little overwhelmed, or you keep coming home and you're like, oh, my house is dirty. I really need to do that. And can you just see how that automatically slumps your shoulders, and you're just kind of like, man, I really don't want to do that, but it's still there, or you're just constantly seeing it. Not that everybody can keep their house clean all the time. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, maybe I'm just OCD. maybe I've got the opposite issue going on. But I just,
just having that feeling of just doing it, just to realize that it will lift your energy up, and maybe not just to clean and dust all the time when people are coming over. If you're constantly depressed and you're constantly have issues going on, it just might be something to look at.
Sure. Well, and that's what you were saying earlier.
Of the house.
Yeah.
Get the energy out of there, and that's where people aren't even aware of the stuck energy or something like that, and then all of a sudden you go and clear the space. I mean, really clear the space, and they're like, oh, like they can breathe again, and they feel energetic. Just they'll feel and see the changes.
Is there if you could give somebody just a generic one thing to try, what would that be as far as space clearing? I like the radio. I like the music thing. That sounds like fun, actually.
The music thing is good. What's coming up, I don't know why, but if you had maybe a little argument with somebody, like your husband or even a child or something like that, just do a very quick visualization of white light or a white tornado or even the ocean, just completely clearing out that room.
Oh, awesome.
Or your house or something like that, and then watch them when they come back, and then the energy will totally be different.
Awesome. Now, that was my question. It may lift the energy for me, but does that necessarily affect the other person? But what I hear you saying is, yes, it probably will.
Yeah, and you'll notice all of a sudden there's an apology, or, you know what I'm saying? You're like, something you thought would be go on forever, it's changed.
It's over.
It's different.
It's awesome. That's the best tip ever.
Yeah. Well, and then you can try it, and then you can be like, oh, that's cool. And if it doesn't work, then go a little bit deeper.
Sure.
And figure out maybe there's something you didn't want it to change, really, or, you still have something else to say, or, I don't know.
You want to fight. Oh, Candice, this has been fun. I look forward to talking to you again in the future. I wanted to make sure that we knew how to get in touch with you. And before we give out that information, do you work just locally, or do you do long distance work?
Yeah, I'm actually getting to the point finally where in my life I've kind of cleared out my chaos too. So I'm way more available than I used to be. But I love to work over the phone. I love to travel. I love to, just kind of whatever works. So,
okay. So you're available to people locally and outside of the area.
Mm-hmm.
Great. How's the best way to reach you?
Probably through email.
Okay. Can you give us that?
It's just my name, hello, with hello in front of it. Hello, Candice Yeager, CandiceYeager @gmail.com.
Great. And then
there is a phone number on my website also.
Okay,
it's
and
Intuituve. Sorry.
The website is intuitivefeeling.com?
With an S in Frank.
Feeling instead of healing. And we'll have both the email and the website on our show notes. So if you didn't catch that, just take a peek back at the show link, and we'll have that information there that you can grab it and get in touch with Candice.
Cool. And I would like to offer a $50 discount for anybody that listens to the show through Kim, or if you could just mention Kim or her website to me, I will give you a $50 discount off.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I'm sure that some people will take advantage of it. That's a great deal.
Cool.
All right, Candice. Thanks again. I look forward to having you back, and I appreciate those little tips. I'm going to go turn on some music and do some dancing.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us. You can learn more about our local wellness community at www.rfwellness.com. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.